Welcome to the Reinvent Your Life podcast, the show that talks about why we do what we do and how we can do it better.
Welcome to the Reinvent Your Life podcast. My name is Chaz Molesky, and today we're going to talk about the 3 phases of change. Now, change is a very complex topic, and a lot of people claim to know the ins and outs of change and how to make change effective and work best for you. And there really is not always a one-size-fits-all for making change work best for you, but there are different strategies that can help you identify when change is necessary and when you're noticing that you're not changing at the rate that you should be changing at. And because it's such a complicated, complex topic, this can apply very different to many people. But right now, what we're going to talk about is the 3 phases of actual change needing to happen. And 2 of these phases are not what we want. I will start this off by saying that the first 2 phases that we go over, the stages of change, the first 2, are not what we want to experience in our life because they involve some form of loss. And that's painful to most of us, if not all of us. And the final one, the third one, is something that's very good for us. It's something that we should focus on and consistently move towards, but it's not easy. It's very simple, but it's not easy. And remember that, simple does not mean easy ever in a lot of things. So I want to kick this off by talking about the first phase of change, the first stage of change, which is satiation. And this is how somebody changes when finally they've had enough. Too much is too much. I have had it. I'm ready to move on. Now, a lot of people think this way very early on. A lot of people think it's final, it's done. I'm so over this, whatever thing is going on. You hear this all the time in relationships. You hear it with people's careers. I've had it up to here. I'm done. I'm out. This is it. This is the last thing. And then you hear them say the same thing the next year, and then the next year, and the next year, and the next year. And so what they're doing is they're telling you that they're done. They're trying to convince themselves that they're done. They're trying to make the decision a definite in their head so they can move on. That's that final punch, that last step they need. That's what they need to move on, to move forward, to make that change. And while it's a great thing and it is good to have those conversations, what they're really doing is they're lying to themselves, and ultimately they're convincing themselves that they can't do it. Because every single time they say the words, I'm done, and they continue to do what they're doing, they never truly know when they're done. The brain does not know when to distinguish, okay, are you really done or are you saying you're done? Because if they ramp up the emotional intensity of it, it feels real, right? I am so done with this. I've had this. I'm out. I'm done. This is it. And we feel super emotional about it in that moment. And then when we go to make that final end cut decision, we're not as emotional as we were when we initially said that. And so we don't feel the same way. We don't feel the same reactions. We don't feel the same things that we need to do. But in reality, that's exactly what we need to do. And so what we do is we convince ourselves otherwise. We say, well, I was just really emotional, or we make excuses for things that were going on. I was just really emotional. I wasn't feeling right then. Something really bad happened at that moment. I've thought it back through, and I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to give it another chance. We blame ourselves, right? No, it was my fault. And so what we do is we put ourselves right back in that environment that drove us into an emotional state that was so negative and so convincing that we were going to leave. And we re-enter that state and we continue that cycle over and over and over again. And when we keep doing that, when we consistently do that, we lose a lot of trust in our own decision making. And finally, at some point down the line, we've finally truly 100% had enough. And then we leave, we quit, we change, we do something that's going to move us forward, to move us past from the thing that's causing us so much pain. But the deal is, and the problem with this is, some people will say they're done, and they'll wait another 10, 12, 15 years before they actually leave, and before they actually take any action to move past that. So being satiated with something is finally hitting that tipping point that I'm actually done. This is it. I'm completely through with this. I am done. And the risk in changing this way and waiting this long to change and convincing yourself that this is the right way for you is that if you do this, you are going to lose a ton of time. And the people that feel this way, they lose a ton of time in the process and a ton of time in their life. Because if you're miserable 1 year And then 10 years down the road, you're saying the same things, you're living the same life, you're experiencing the same job, the same routine, you're doing all these things that at one time were making you miserable with no change. If you've made no change, that means you've just spent 10 years miserable in that horrible soul-sucking experience. Do you realize how much growth and how much experience and opportunity and possibility you can inject into your life in 10 years if you just make different decisions, if you change? It is unfathomable. So the first phase of change is satiation. Enough is enough. I have had enough. The second phase of change is a significant emotional event. Now, a significant emotional event is probably the most painful form of change because it involves massive loss, most of the time with something that you can't get back or you can't make up for. And so this is an example of, you live life one way, you live a reckless life, and you get into a car accident and your best friend was right next to you and they die in the accident. And that accident was so traumatizing for you that it made you question the way you were living. And from that, you made a change and you decided to change the way you were living. You decided to change your life. Great decision in the end. Unfortunately, it took massive pain to realize that decision. And for those that have experienced this or that will experience this, this is always extremely painful and it is not a fun way to change whatsoever. And so if you are headed towards a significant emotional event, it doesn't always have to involve death. That's another key component to this, is that it can be a big time health scare. It can be something that maybe leads you to death down the line, but you realize had you made different decisions, maybe it'd be different. This is the smoker with emphysema, or this is the smoker that goes in and gets the talk with their doctor that they have lung cancer. And it's pretty bad and it's pretty excessive, and that lung cancer is going to kill them in 3 years. So now they have a timeline on their life, and this person is 56 years old. They had a lot of time. They had a lot of opportunity. They had a lot of things that they could have done had they made that one change that they've been telling themselves for years. I have to make this change. I have to change this. I have to stop doing this. And then they get that horrible doctor appointment. And they can't go back and they can't take back time and they can't change what they did in the past. They have to accept their new future and they have to work it and live it as best as they can. And unfortunately, even this sometimes is not enough for certain people to make a change. And it's tragic and it's very sad if you know anybody who's been in a position where they know they need to change. They've been told they need to change. They're now at a health risk. They're now at a life risk. They're having all of these horrible things happen to them and they continue to do the thing that put them in that position. There's no worse pain as a friend, as a loved one, as a family member of seeing that happening, witnessing it, and feeling completely hopeless and powerless. And if you're going through this and you accept and acknowledge that this is the way that life is for you and something has come up that is that way and you feel like right now is your time to change, even though you can't get the time back, that is absolutely fantastic and you should never, ever feel bad for making that decision. And so anybody who is on the verge of a significant emotional event or is just coming off of a significant emotional event, understand you have choice, you have power in decision making, and you have control over what you do right now and every day moving forward. And if you can focus on that, A, go back to my podcast on focus so you can understand how to truly do that, and B, the most important part of this, you have to decide right now what you want, and you have to consistently focus on just that. And you will live an incredible quality of life, no matter how much longer you live. If it's 1 year, if it's 1,000 years, that quality of life can sometimes be an entire lifetime of moments and events. But that brings us to our third and final phase of change, and this is the best phase of change. This phase is proactivity, being proactive about your change. Now, like I said in the beginning, this is not always easy, and it is very, very difficult at times. And sometimes it'll feel like you can't make any changes because of it. But understand that this is the best, most efficient, most effective, most fulfilling form of change is being proactive, which means going out and getting what you deserve, going out and getting what you want, living the life you want, having the things you want, having the family you want, making decisions on your own, standing up for yourself, standing up for your own beliefs, all of these different things. This is being proactive about your change. This is taking your life into your own hands and doing whatever with it that you want to do. And this is so important to understand and to conceptualize and accept and take in as truth, as meaning for you. Because if you are on the edge of change and you know right now you need to make a change, well, guess what? There's no better time than right now. There will never be a better time than right now. And being in charge of that change is completely 100% up to you. You can change right now if you simply decide to it, you commit to it, and then you act. If you can do that, what you're going to find is that you can accomplish whatever it is that you want because now you have the recipe of getting it. All you have to do is be proactive. Anticipate the future, anticipate the things you want, go for the things that you want, the things you dream about. Listen to your own intuition, be proactive about the changes that you want. Go out and get them, find a mentor, do what you need to do. But if you can take this into account, if you can believe enough in this to do it consistently day after day after day and being proactive about something, not waiting for the other two to happen, not waiting to be satiated, not waiting for that emotional event to happen. If you're not waiting for those and you're cultivating your own change, I applaud you, I support you, and I'm incredibly proud of you because that is one of the most important yet challenging parts of changing and making a successful life change or even a fulfilling life change. So if that's where you're at, you are killing the game. Understand everybody right now that's listening to this can be at phase 3 immediately. As soon as you decide on it and commit to it and then act, as soon as you are there, you're going to be in that phase. And that's awesome. That's amazing. And I encourage every single one of you to take that step. If you need more help on that step, all you need to do is find someone to help you. Do not be afraid to ask for help. It's going to be one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And if I'm that guy, if I'm the one that's going to be the one helping you out, please reach out. If I'm that guy for you, if that's what you want, let me know. Reach out to me. I would love to help as many people as I possibly can. That's why I'm doing this in the first place. I want to help you be proactive. I want to help you make amazing changes. And I want to help you live an incredible, fulfilled life. So as always, guys, please like this, subscribe, share it, do your thing. Can't wait to talk more about you. I have an awesome episode coming up next, so please make sure you tune in for that. If you haven't listened to any of the episodes in the past, go back, listen to them. They're not that long. I do that on purpose. I want you to take in the information. I want you to retain it, and I want you to enjoy it most of all. All right? And then most importantly, please share this with anybody that you know that can benefit from it most. So until next time, this is the Reinvent Your Life podcast. I'm Chaz Molesky. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Reinvent Your Life podcast. Now go out and apply what you just heard to start your reinvention. Please subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with those that need it most.